I hear footsteps on the roof, but there's no one there. Hey there, folks. Have you ever had that chilling feeling when you are lying in your bed, ready to fall asleep, and you start hearing strange noises? Well, let me tell you about a topic that will make your skin crawl and keep you wide awake at night. Picture this: you're all cozy in your bed, the night is as dark as a bottomless pit, and suddenly you hear footsteps on the roof. But hold on a second, there's no one there, or is there? Imagine yourself in a small, sleepy town, far away from the bustling city lights. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and nothing out of the ordinary ever happens. But little did the townsfolk know that something sinister was lurking in the shadows, something that would make their peaceful nights turn into nightmares. Our main characters, let's call them Sarah and John, were a young couple who had recently moved into an old house at the edge of town. The house had been abandoned for years, and whispers of strange happenings had surrounded it for decades. But Sarah and John were not afraid. They saw it as an opportunity to make a fresh start, to create a home of their own. The first few nights in their new house were uneventful. The only sounds that broke the silence were the occasional creaks and groans of the old wooden floors. But as the days went by, strange things began to happen. It started with subtle noises, like the sound of tapping fingers on a windowpane, or the faint echo of distant laughter. Sarah and John brushed it off as their imagination playing tricks on them. After all, houses make strange noises all the time, right? But then, one fateful night, as they lay in bed, ready to drift off to dreamland, they heard it. Footsteps. Clear as day, coming from the roof above them. John shot up in bed, his heart pounding. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice trembling. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide with fear. They held each other tightly, wondering who or what could be up there. The footsteps continued, growing louder and more erratic. It was as if someone or something was pacing back and forth, right above their heads. Sarah and John mustered up the courage to investigate. They grabbed a flashlight and made their way up to the attic, the source of the mysterious sounds. As they climbed the creaky stairs, the air grew colder and an unsettling feeling settled in their bones. They reached the attic, their flashlight illuminating the dusty space. But to their surprise, there was no one there. The attic was empty, save for a few forgotten cobwebs and old boxes. Sarah and John exchanged puzzled glances, their hearts still racing from the unexplained footsteps. Days turned into weeks, and the footsteps on the roof became a nightly occurrence. Sarah and John couldn't sleep, their minds haunted by the unknown. They reached out to their neighbors, desperate for answers. But all they received were puzzled looks and sympathetic shrugs. One evening, as the couple sat huddled together, contemplating their next move, a neighbor named Mrs. Jenkins paid them an unexpected visit. Mrs. Jenkins was an elderly woman, known for her wisdom and knowledge of the town's secrets. She had heard about the strange happenings in Sarah and John's house and felt compelled to share her own experience. She recounted a tale from her childhood, a story passed down through generations. Legend had it that a restless spirit haunted the old house. The spirit, they said, was that of a young woman who had met a tragic end many years ago. She was said to have been betrayed by her lover and left to die alone in the cold. According to Mrs. Jenkins, the spirit had been searching for peace for years, roaming the streets and rooftops of the town. It was believed that she was drawn to the houses of young couples, hoping to find solace in their love and warmth. But the spirit was doomed to wander, forever trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. Sarah and John listened intently, their eyes wide with disbelief. Could it be true? Was their house haunted by the spirit of a lost soul? Mrs. Jenkins advised them to perform a cleansing ritual, a way to release the spirit from its eternal torment. Desperate for a good night's sleep, they followed her instructions to the letter. That night, as they laid in bed, they waited in anticipation, half expecting to hear the familiar sound of footsteps on the roof. But to their surprise, there was silence. The haunting presence had vanished, and the house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. From that day forward, Sarah and John lived peacefully in their old house. The town's whispers of strange happenings slowly faded away, replaced by stories of a young couple who had conquered their fears and banished the restless spirit that haunted their home. So, my dear readers, the next time you find yourself lying in bed, ready to drift off to sleep, and you hear footsteps on the roof, remember the tale of Sarah and John. Perhaps it's just the wind playing tricks on your ears, or maybe, just maybe, it's something more, something that will make you question the thin line between the living and the dead.